The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right. Good morning. I'm early. You're early. Thanks for coming. Hey, Ted, how are you? Jimmy, I got your nice note yesterday. I'll definitely write you an answer. Thank you. It was really nice words. Ted, I'm doing all right. How about you? I wanted to talk to you and get your permission to discuss one of your trades in the room. We were talking about one of your trades, and I didn't really want to give it away without your permission. You have a 610 tick trade that you do? Does that make sense? Maybe I'll call you. I don't want to give it away unless you let me. But we're going to do something in the room. We're going to like have people come into the room with their favorite trade. In other words, I'm going to have I got to talk to the bosses, make sure they don't mind. But I don't want people to bring in like another guru's trade, if you know what I mean. They got to bring in their favorite trade. Otherwise, got to get permission of the guru. You know what I mean? Like if you have a trade and someone loves your trade, I got to call you and ask you if it's okay that we teach it in the room. Same thing if like someone wants to teach one of Hubert's trades, like a bond trade or something like that. I think it's only right that if we should email them and give them credit for it. But I still think it's a really good idea. There's so many good trades out there. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Hey, what was the name of the company you used to work for? I'm losing my mind, but I forgot. The one that Hubert bought. Time Trader, when you were doing Time Trader. Right, thanks. They closed it because I don't see the name. I don't get why, or am I wrong? Are they still running it? Because I never see the name anymore. No emails, nothing. I don't know what that means. What does that mean? Or maybe I'm not getting what you're typing. Right. Oh, I never see that, but I never saw that anyway. That was like a secret part of investing, if you know what I mean. They didn't push that part of it until you like took a class. But that came first. I didn't know that. But I don't see any emails from investing anymore or anything. So I was just curious, why the heck did he buy it? You know, gigantic mailing list. It probably had a tremendous mailing list and a good one. I would think a good one. I know you didn't. That's their loss. You know, they have their whole thing in place. You know, Ted, if you think about it. I mean, I'm not surprised they did it that way. I think they lost out by not going that way. Ah, okay. They gave you the option. Okay. Well, you gonna trade today's trade? I am. We're early. I'm gonna let people get here. So, are you gonna make it for the trade? It's 30 minutes from now. It's a quick one. You're not gonna be in it very long if you trade it. It does not move slowly. That's the truth. It's like probably the best moving Canadian trade there is. Definitely dangerous, but has a pretty good history. Oh, what are you doing there? Are you doing guitar recordings? Get out. Yeah, right. Ian, you got it. You got it, Ian. Anyway, for people in the room, I'm talking to Ted Posobiec, used to work for Winvesting, did a very similar thing to us. Had a time trade room, and Ted, believe it or not, Ted's a member of JOBB, and he comes in and hangs out a little bit every now and then. That's the name of the band. Ian, for real? Oh, that's funny. That is funny. Oh, okay, okay, okay. The traveling dingleberries, Ian. Ian said Ted. Ted, I didn't know you were in a. Are you in a band? Are you in a band, or are you just recording for yourself? Wow, that's great. That's my one regret. I before I die, I'd love to put a band together and just do a couple of shows. I know, so far away, and that's the problem. You guys are in Texas, right? It was sold, SH. It was sold. So, Ted, is anything going to happen with Invest to Success? Someone was asking. Or did they shut it down and just fold it into their stuff? It's for sale? I'm not sure. They moved it into their stuff. SH, that whole company was bought by HubertCenters.com. They didn't publicize it. Ah, your music is for sale. Do you have a website, Ted? Send me the link to your music website. I'll go check it out. Oh, send me an MP3. Well, SH, it was all about Ted. You know what I mean? Ted was what made it work. All right, let's go to work. This is a crazy trade. I want to show you some trades. This is a big mover. It's Canada. A lot of slippage. Okay. Trade could be canceled because of slippage. I recommend that we use the slippage settings to be safe. And I recommend a bigger bracket than what the HIRA says. I'm using a 9 bracket. I'm using a 9. Okay. Everything else, and I'm entering at 59. Everything else, I'm doing exactly the same. Okay. And I like what Jay says. I mean, it may be the last 20 months because I don't know when this text was updated. That's what I'm not sure. But I do know that let me just check something real quick. It moves like crazy every month. It moves like crazy every month. Here's what it did on 518, and I didn't even look at this yet. I don't know if we traded it live or sim. I'm guessing we simmed it. Yeah, we simmed it. And I believe there was a no fill. No, there was a fill. There would have been a fill. Using it looks, in sim, it looked like a stop. But I also think the bracket's way too small. I think it's a breakout, James. I think you got to use a bigger bracket, especially with these markets. Especially with these markets. See that it did not move very much. It had a fake out. A big bracket wouldn't have saved you. Nothing would have saved you last month. Nothing. It just moved twice. There's nothing you can do when that happens. Nothing. It's just bad luck. But the good thing is that does not usually happen 2 months in a row. That's the good thing. All right. So I have not been. I'm not. You're right, Jimmy. I don't like the Canadian trades, and I may get stopped out on this one. But it's like the BOE yesterday. The testing is pretty darn good on this trade, and the HIRA confirms that. 10 out of 12 recent ones, or like 18 to 24 months, 18 to 20 months, I would say, 10 out of 12 have been safe. Last month was one of the few unsafe ones that I remember. So just understand the risk, maybe just trade one contract. You don't want to ruin your Friday with a terrible trade, you know. But it's like this whole week, I took trades that I might not have normally taken. Most of them worked out okay. Natural gas wasn't a stop. Um, I got stopped only on one of the little housing. I forget it was building, if it was existing homes or building housing starts. I forget which one it was, but both of those reports are stinky reports anyway. Neither of them are worth trading, but this is a report that's worth trading because it's going to move. It's Canada, so yes, I know we have risk, but I'm going to use the slippage settings. I'm going to go for a bigger bracket, and I feel that as long as it doesn't move on me early, and that's why I'm going in at 59, I'll risk a little bit of extra slippage. Um, and also, I've watched it. If the news is good, stay in the trade if you're not stopped out and you haven't hit your targets. You could stay in the trade and it should follow through. If the news is matching, you can take a reversal. Steve S. Only if it's matching. Otherwise, I would recommend don't do it. Okay? Bernard, nice to see you. So, very strict ways to trade this if you're going to trade it. Bernard, always great to see you. That's for sure. What else? So let me just show you a couple. There could be a reasonable move, a reasonable amount of volatility before the trade. I'll still trade it unless it's really bad. Okay? Like 20 ticks, 22 ticks, or something like that. 10, 12 ticks, I'll still trade it because it still works usually. Let me show you a couple. Let me show you some more. These are the real ones. So this was 420. I have no idea what we did in the room. Probably, all right. So the text, we know the text was not changed. Okay. So it's probably 21 months and it's probably 12 out of 14. Okay. 12 out of 15. So this we simmed, I'm guessing. Yeah, I've been afraid of this trade. No, we traded it live. Let's see if it worked. But we used a very small bracket. No fill slippage. Okay, no fill slippage. That's what happened. That was April. No fill. It was too much of a move. See, I'm tempted not to use the slippage settings on this trade, but because there's so much slippage on Canada, I think you got to use them and take the shot that you might not get filled. However, if you get like a 40% pullback and the news is all one direction, see this, it wasn't. This, it wasn't. You had a conflict. But it still had enough of the news in one direction. And that's why this trade worked. I'm going to check my bracket on that, Ian. Yep. I'm going to go with 10 then. I'm going to go with 10. I was thinking of 9 today, but I thought that I was recommending a bigger bracket. So the big decision is, do you use the slippage settings? Or do you risk, it could be a $600 loss on this trade if you trade 3 contracts. Let's look at 323. The move was huge. This looks like it probably wouldn't have filled. Also, another huge move. But don't be fooled. Do not be fooled. You could have gotten filled up there with your first target, first contract. No joke. So I think the right thing to do if you trade it to keep yourself safe is it's Stephen, it is not a trap trade. It's not. It would stop you out all the time. It moves too far. I would not do it as a trap. Your tiers would have to be so large, so big. Because the trap trade, you'll get filled. You'll get filled, and then it'll keep going on you. That's why I don't think it's a trap, this one. It can reverse, but not in the standard way that the trap does. It's different. Now, keep in mind that I'm keeping the room open after this trade. I wanted to look, today's a crazy oil day, so I thought we'd look at the oil open. Then I thought we'd look at the NQ open. If people want to stick around, if people don't, then I won't. And then I wanted to look at the 945 trade, but I have to tell you, it's not a trade. It doesn't work. I'd still look at it and show you, possible ways you could design your own trades. I'd be happy to do that. So, I mean, I was planning to stay until 10, roughly, if people want to stay. That's what I wrote. That's what the invitation said. I would like to show you the open using the one-click range trade on the NQ. It looks very promising to me. So if people want to stick around, you're all invited to stay. We might take a 5-minute break here and there, but we haven't had a really good educational trade room in a long time where we tried, different things. So I just wanted to show you some things I've been working on. It's up to you all if you want to stay. And obviously, if Canada's a loser, it'll be much more depressing to hang around. So the question, though, that's the one I'm talking about. It's no, we've never traded it, Jimmy. It doesn't really move much. I tested it, and it just doesn't do anything. It's not worth trading. But I'll show you how I would try to trade it. It just doesn't move. And today it's flash data. It's the right kind of data. it doesn't move the NQ. So let's set this baby up. You know, this whole Roseanne thing makes me so crazy. I cannot tolerate it. First of all, the show stinks. It always stunk. Second of all, Roseanne isn't even funny. Never was, never will be. Why John Goodman is destroying his credibility, I don't know. I guess he needs the money. And if everyone on the show dropped dead, they'd still do a spinoff because they're so greedy. They're going to do Roseanne without Roseanne. I mean, come on. That's like us trading without having any instruments. It's ridiculous. I mean, talk about the greed of the TV stations. Good riddance to them. I don't even have cable. Who wants them? I'm so angry about it. It makes me so crazy. Jimmy, I got to talk to you about something. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. I have something very serious to talk to you about, and I just remembered your email. Do you still practice? Do you still practice what you told me? That's what I'm talking about. And I forget where you're located. Are you a young guy? Are you a young guy? Or an old guy like me? Okay, you're a medium guy. Are you good at it? Tell me the truth. Do you know what the heck you're doing? You could tell me the truth. If you were going to give me an honest appraisal of yourself, I mean, I would give you an honest one of me in 1 second. I've told the room exactly how I see myself as a trader. I have a lot to learn. I'm like you all. I have a lot to learn, right? And I'm not knocking anybody. There's some people in here that are better than me. Ted, that's funny. I have not a clue what I'm doing. Isn't that the truth, Ted? I just, you know what? My biggest thing is if I could get into reversals, we could make a lot more money. So that's my goal. Okay, Jimmy, I might have a job for you. That's why I'm asking. Can you do any state? Can you do the taxes for a corporation in any state? Okay. I'll talk to you, okay? I got to talk to the other people first. I'll send you an email. All right. So, here's what I'm going to do. Here's the HIRA. And, I've been trading, like I said, last week I didn't trade a lot of trades, and we left a lot of money on the table because we didn't trade. I was silly. I'm going to use the slippage settings. I'm going to enter a little bit late. Because the markets are so darn volatile. And Canada's volatile anyway. I don't want to get caught in a pre-move. And because of slippage, I'm not going to have huge targets, okay? Because my feeling is that they just won't get hit. Even though the moves look really big, you got a big bracket, and I'm using stop limit orders, so entry canceled at false. Slippage ticks is 7. Stop limit orders is true, so we could get jumped over on this trade. 10 tick stop is fine. All right. And don't even think about moving your stop before the trade's over. The one thing you could do if you delayed it 5 seconds and you wanted to do something like, well, if the market moves 10 ticks in my favor, give me 5 ticks. If you delay it, then you should not get an error and have the software shut down on you. But this trade moves so fast, you don't want the stop error because the software can't keep up. All right. I want 59, Jimmy, because I want to avoid an early move. Ted, that's my question to you. Are you doing that gold open on a 610 tick chart? Okay, you don't do it with the 610 anymore? Yes, Chris, it's the Ted. Ted, everybody says hello, all your buddies. You still do the 6. So why do you do the 1 minute then today? Why'd you do the 1 minute today and not the 610? Ted says hello, everybody. Let me just set my trade up first so I'm ready. Let me show everybody one more time. Let's check our time. Let's do all the things we got to do. We got to have a day with a webinar with Ted anyway. We've been talking about it, so we just got to do it. Ted, maybe you have time in the summer now, finally. Ted, maybe you should come work for us. Even part-time might be interesting. Might be an interesting idea, you know. I'm not proud. You could do some trades that I don't do and do some there's some stuff we could probably do. Right, but you're a rock star now, Ted. Do you want to blow it? You can never go back, you know. Please go to time.is. Go to time.is. People love you, Ted. I mean, I'm serious. I don't know you as well as everybody else does, it seems. I never knew you. That's the truth. I found you late in the game. All right, so time.is, and then here's how I'm setting up my trade. Now Ted has to run, so it'll be continued. Yeah, Ted Nugent. Yep, that's funny. That is funny. Bracket of 10. Actually, I think 9 is fine. I'm using 9. I hope I'm not sorry. There's just so much darn slippage. I just want to have a chance to get filled. If the news is matching, I might try a reversal trade. Maybe. I'll see how I feel. It's a breakout, entering at 59, false 7 true, canceled if gap, slippage ticks, stop limit orders, 2 contracts for 7 ticks, 1 contract for 14 ticks. Okay. And then we are sticking around. We are sticking around. I know KW, but I think that bracket's way too small. I just don't think it's a safe bracket. And I meant to discuss it with Jay, and I didn't. And we used the big one last month. And last month it was such a big move, we didn't get filled. So, or the month before. Last month it was a whip. It was a double move stop out. Okay. I need room on the chart for this trade. You don't need any indicators. So let's see what happens. What we want, preferably, is agreeable news. That's very funny, Ted. So what's hard about this trade is there's a lot of news to analyze. Okay. There is a lot of news to analyze. You got retail, CPI, but it usually moves well. Anything can happen. You all know that. Don't forget, I'm not a professional. I'm putting up our disclosure. This is for education and to watch, not to copy what we do. Don't forget, got to do your own thing and understand past performance is not a guarantee of future performance. You all know that. So stick around after this trade, and we're going to keep the trade room open and do a look at the oil open. I'll look at the NQ open at 9:30 if people want to stick around that long. We got 1 minute. The assumed CL Open hedge guy, I would say, is still 9 o'clock. If you want to argue that with me, I mean, I'm open to it. But there's no pit anymore. That's the problem, right? All right, let's get ready. Wants to test the high. That move is normal, okay? For pre-report. I've seen that 100 times. No fill. Too much slippage, okay? No fill. So just cancel. Cancel the trade. I think the next time it's all agreeable news. So you do not want to do a reversal. You don't want to do a reversal. It was no fill because of too much slippage. So don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. That protected us. That protected us. It might have, if anybody did not use the slippage settings, tell me what happened. Now, if we would have gotten a better pullback, you could take a continuation trade, but I would not take I would not take a reversal on this. I would not take a reversal. I didn't see enough of a pullback to take a continuation. So I'll take my profits for this week. It's Canada. You have to trade 3 contracts to make anything. Alex, you did not use the slippage settings, or you did? AM, you got filled and lost $800? I don't understand. What was your bracket? Chris, you didn't fill. AM, if you used a 4 bracket, I'm going to kill you. I'm serious. I'm going to kill you. I test these things. You got to trust me on bracket size. You gotta. Alex, you got filled at 75035? No. Let's see. Look how far down you got filled. But I still would have 035. It would have barely, I mean, it would have hit my targets possibly with no slippage settings. So I think if you're going to trade this trade, oh, AM, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Always ask me. I'll tell you. I'll always tell you. The higher bracket's just too small on this trade. Andre, send me a picture. Alex, send me a picture. Test because there was too much slippage. Mine didn't either. Too much slippage. Everybody gets different fills based on where they're located. Okay? So some people might have gotten filled using the same settings. There's nothing you can do about that. I didn't get filled either. So I'm not going to cry about it. It's because we use stop limit orders. If we used a big bracket and just regular setup, it would have worked. Okay? It would have worked. But the slippage settings keep you safe. If there's too much slippage, you could lose money. You could get filled at the top of the candle, the bottom of the candle. In this particular case, and the point is, I think for this trade, there's been so many non-fills. Got to go with the no slippage settings, no stop limit orders, and a bigger bracket. That's the way to do it. Andre, you enter 10 seconds before. Good size bracket. Entering 10 seconds before is very risky. You could have gotten filled early. I personally would not do that. I would do 57, but I wouldn't do 50. It's too risky. But I'm glad it worked for you today. I'm very happy. I'm glad it worked for you today. But I did not get filled because I was using stop limit orders and there was just too much slippage for me. That's why I did not get filled. Alex did not use slippage settings and he got filled. So hopefully, Alex, send me a picture. Ted, I'll talk to you. And Steven said something great. The one-click range trade would have worked great on that. Because we don't use stop limit orders on that trade. But see, Steven, anytime, in all honesty, any breakout trade would have worked great today without slippage settings. But I told everybody before the trade, the reason it worked, and I think the reason this trade might be okay to take without the slippage settings, is because when the news is so much in your favor, like it was today, and it all agrees, then the move, even with the giant amount of slippage, is still worth trading. Okay? Dan 035. They got filled down here, right where my cursor is. Can you see it? Right in this area here. So you could see it was only a 10 tick bracket. So it was way more than, maybe our slippage setting is too low also. I think I'll tell Jay to take a look at the trade. But I think our solution is bigger bracket, no stop limit orders. So that's what we'll do next time. It's okay. Some people made money. I would have rather have made money, and this is the exact reason why I hate slippage settings. But in all honesty, yesterday's BOE trade, I would have gotten stopped out without the slippage settings because they allow the price to drop, come back, and drop again without filling you on the wrong side. Okay? That's right, Dan. There was about 20 ticks in it easily, even if it filled at 035. So that's why it's worth trading. That's why it's worth trading. Now, do people want to stick around and have a longer trade room today? If you do, I will. I said I would. This, you know what, Dan? It does sometimes fill. And DOFFAN, you got lucky. You got lucky. Using a small bracket. You definitely got lucky. So, I mean, I'm glad you got lucky. So, what I would look at now, today is a CL day because of OPEC, right? I'm guessing, let's check our volume. Look what oil did on the Canada news. But you could have easily gotten sucked in short. How many ticks short was it? Depending where that candle opened. At 8:31, let's see, at 8:30, let me just look at something. This candle opened at 57. So it opened almost at the low. It went up 4 ticks. Never traded oil on this trade, so I don't know what I would have used as a bracket. But the next candle opened it also at 57. Let's check that. Oil's going crazy. It could be OPEC news, but I think it's really from the retail news. I really do. I mean, I could be wrong, but this is a risky day to trade oil, but it could be a one-click range trade day. Dave, he's not here, so I don't know. I'm thinking 2 to 3. So this candle also opened at 57. It went down 11. Okay. So I think if I was trading it, I would have gotten stopped. I would have gotten stopped. I would not have used a bracket bigger than 11. I doubt it. I doubt it. Never thought of trading oil on Canadian retail news. I've never thought about it. We've never tested it. I think in the old days we might have done it before I worked here. because in the old days we traded oil on everything, everything. I'm going to go to the one-click screen because that's what I would use. Well, here's the issue. Trading, who was asking me about the oil open time? You think it's OPEC news, Bernard? What's the news though? 7:30. It was an hour ago, the last OPEC news that I see, Bernard. That's why I wonder. That's why I'm not sure what has caused the news. I understand they agreed to 600,000 barrels per day increase, but that would not make the price go up, would it? Or would it? It should drop the price. So that's why I think, I mean, oil and 6C often react together. I agree, Stephen. What I was starting to say is that in the old days, we used to do the regular range trade with oil at 9 o'clock. Hasn't been working that great for the past year. Who was asking me about the oil open and what time it is? Because I wanted to know what their thoughts were about that. Hang on one sec. I'm just looking to see. Hedge guy. Hedge guy, what time do you think the oil open is at a different time? That's my question. Okay, you trade oil 24 hours. So you don't see an open anymore. I don't argue that, hedge guy. I don't argue because what do you see as the opens? European Open or US Open at 6 p.m. Eastern time. You know what I mean? 1:30 a.m. is one of your opens. I mean, I don't argue, hedge guy. I'm not arguing. I mean, once the pit closed, everything changed. Everything changed. But there is still a 9 o'clock trade for a lot of people. A lot of people still see that as an open forever. It might be forever. I think you get why. You understand why. But I have not figured out a good way to trade it that works anymore. It used to work as a range trade, a simple range trade where you would do something like this. Now, I don't want to be live right now. I think a one click is better. Tess, you might want to create a new chart. Create a new chart. Make sure also you reboot your Ninja. Tess. Also create a new chart. Don't use the same chart. All right? Maybe something's corrupt on that chart. So what I was saying is in the old days, we just had a simple regular range trade. It worked incredible. The way you might have set it up was let's make believe the opens at 8:30, okay? So what you would do is set range trade, old-fashioned range trade. You pick a start time. So let's say you picked 825. And then let's say you were going to go in at 8:30, your entry time. Okay. Show the graphics. I don't want to lose money by accident, guys, so bear with me. I'm on the verge of doing something stupid. I don't want to. I'm not saying I won't trade anymore today. I'm not sure, but let's see what happens. So the range is at 825. Your entry time is at 8:30. I would go for 5 ticks. I would have no target on my second position. I have 3 contracts though. My stop would be 12 and I would trail. Okay. Actually, I would trail on the target hit. So in theory, this is early. See, it would have drawn this range, okay? It would have drawn this range. And it would have brought you in here, 3 ticks above that range, okay? That's the idea of the range trade. It might have faked you out, okay? And actually pulled you in short. It could have. It could have. And that's why this range trade, well, first of all, we wouldn't have traded it at 8:30, but this particular one would not have worked. Okay, just so you know, that would not have worked. I like the one-click range trade now. I think it's a little safer. So let me load that screen, and that's how I'm going to work this morning. I use the one click on the NQ open. So I'm going to close my workspace, JOBB Trade Room. I don't need them both open. And I want to be on CL. I want to check our volume, but I believe we're on 818. You don't need indicators for the for an open trade, except for the zones. Okay, I do use the zones. Now I notice my DMI is a pain, but it's the way it is. What it is. The setup I would use, the big thing I've been wrestling with. 9:30, Dave, would be the NQ. Chris, my settings on the zone, and we're arguing about this, me and people that are testing. Steven, are you using 9 these days or 20? 20 is default, I believe. And I believe we've been going with 20 now. We're back to 20. Let me see. Chantal, I don't know if you can answer. Steven, if you're what you've been doing these days. We went back to 20, didn't we? We were doing 9 for a while. It's not that big of a difference. I mean, usually when you get certainly with a news trade, it's not going to matter at all. When you're discretionary trading, it can make a difference. Not saying it's going to change your life difference, but it can make a difference. All right. DMI, you like to have a line at 0. So I put a horizontal line there, right click it, properties, sorry, make sure you click the right thing, properties. And now, if you want to change it to black, fine. Make the width a little thicker, go to data and make sure it's 0. Exactly. Apply it. Okay. So now I have a line at 0. Above the line is bullish, below the line is bearish. But again, during big news, it just doesn't matter. So the setup I would use for the range trade, what I'm struggling with is whether I want to use a 210 tick chart on oil. And the default is 21 on the period. So let's go with the default. If someone never loaded it, they could double check that. You could see that oil is volatile. Okay, it's already moving. The setup I would use, I think, I certainly would want to look at the 1 minute chart. I just think the 1 minute chart for me on oil for the open is the way I would do it. That's what I'm thinking. But in all honesty, I mean, one of the reasons I'm here is I'm testing. I'm not positive because the trade stopped working. The 1 minute versus the 210 tick, Chris, or even versus Unirenko. There's 3 possible setups, and I could use a little help testing. Truthfully, I haven't had enough time. Unirenko on a day like today may be just so volatile. It may not be. It might be too much. I like the Unirenko signals though. They're really clear. Look at that signal. It's gorgeous. It's a beautiful signal. It's very fast. Very fast. Okay. Uni doesn't look bad. Doesn't look bad today. Looks tradable. You could tell, you could double check how crazy oil is by looking at the dome and see how much it's jumping around. Okay. That'll give you an idea of how crazy the volatility is. It really doesn't look that terrible right now. I mean, there's fast movement, a lot of orders coming back and forth, but not we've seen much crazier jumping around in February or March, whenever that was. Let's go to the, I'm going to go to the 1 minute still, because that's the setup I always used on the oil open. I may change that at some point. And you have to change both charts. And here's the setup I'd use. See, the 1 minute's a little bit slower. Look at 1 minute compared to the 210. And I got to get cracking because we're getting close to the open, the theoretical open, I call it. The 210 is a lot more just chop. All right. So I'm going to go at 1 minute for now. It's going to depend on the testing, but ultimately we're just testing the open. Okay. My setup, it's a breakout trade. Bracket doesn't matter. Range time doesn't matter because we're using one-click range trade. It's a form of the breakout. It's not a trap trade. That's really to be clearer. Okay, we don't want any slippage, anything. Make sure stop limit orders is false. That was strictly for Canada. Shame that we didn't get filled on that. I would do 3 contracts. It's a lot of risk. First target is 5 ticks. Second target's 0. Stop is 12. The reason my second target is 0 is because I'm going to trail, okay, at the target hit. And then I'll move, see if I have to move my stop manually or not. Okay? So 2 positions, 3 contracts. So if my first position gets hit, at least I'll make $100. I'm risking 360. It is an upside down trade. However, that sometimes, sometimes it just is that way. It is what it is. Some people will not trade that way. Okay? Some people, now I don't want the short button on, but that will put you in a one-click trade instantly. The other way that the trade works is up. Got to be careful. I would put this order here, not outside of the zone. Stephen, would you argue that with me? And I'd be 3 ticks above. So that's 27, so I'd be 30. Okay? See, it thinks that there's a range being drawn. That's where it's creating those orders from. But I have the graphics off. Question, anybody? Does everybody understand? I'm going to check my time real quick because this is a 9 o'clock trade. I don't need my news, okay? I'm going to check the time real quick, and it's good, all right? Time is good. But there's no pit anymore, and that's hurt this trade. And because of that, I haven't worked out a system good enough to throw real money at it yet. Okay? I think you can trade oil all day today because of OPEC. It should be volatile and move well. You just have to decide what kind of method you want to use. I think that I would personally, if I were trading alone in my room, I think I would use the Unirenko setup. Not for the open. Let's see what the open does, all right? But for the general trading after 9 o'clock. I would look at the Unirenko first. Now, some people would argue and would put that oil short at 37. The reason I'm not is because I would look for a breakthrough of the super trend indicator line, which would give you the momentum to catch that short real early. And the zone's changing also. But see how this trade just doesn't, in the old days, we would have been filled already. We would have been out already. It doesn't do what it used to do. It just doesn't do what it used to do. Now it went long. If it hits 5 ticks, it'll start to trail. Now the truth is that stop is too tight. Okay? I'm going to leave it. Okay, so it did not work, and this is why I don't trade this trade anymore. This is what it's been doing. It hasn't been following through. I'm not sure that there's a good 9 o'clock trade. And by me testing it the way we tested it, I'm protecting you. That's my goal. One of my goals. Look, we should have made money on Canada today. We could have, had we done it differently. Next time we'll do it differently. The beauty of all this is there's always a next time. So you can't get upset. There's always a next time. I'm just looking to see if the Unirenko setup might have been better. And it really doesn't look like it would have. Okay, it looks like it would have done the same thing, maybe pulled you in long and then stopped you out short. But let's be honest, your stop should have been, if you go back to our original setup and original trade, the 1 minute, where should your stop really have been if you were going to be a smart trader? Our stop was random, okay? We got pulled in here. Our stop should have been below the zone, okay? Or at least below the U11 line. It shouldn't have just been a random 12 ticks, because let's be honest, we'd still be in the trade, okay? We'd still be in the trade. And Stephen is absolutely right. It was early. If you trade oil, you should have been looking at it at 8 and not traded until 8:30ish. That was the move. That was the proper time to trade. Everything lined up, okay? So you want to trade when you have a trade. I think that it doesn't make sense anymore to even bother with the 9 o'clock open. There's nothing there anymore. There's just not a trade, I don't think, unless you use a gigantic stop. Dave, you're asking me if I'm trading the NQ after what's the WOW? Am I losing my mind? I'm missing something. World of Warcraft is what I know as WOW. But I am planning. KW, a 5-minute range trade would have worked. See, these are the things that, everybody, if you understand how to use this stuff, you can make your own trades. And I've said that 1,000 times, 1,000. You can't just depend on me. And look at that. Beautiful. Maybe, hey, KW, that's great. That's great. Chris used the 610 tick system. Steven says there was a move on the 210 tick. So the 1 minute definitely does not work. All right. So let's forget the 1 minute. It has not been working. $2.10 tick for oil. Looks like it certainly you would have had a shot. 9 o'clock, you would have gotten in long. I wouldn't have had to stop that close. That would have been foolish. So it looks like the 210 tick might have been a better open time. All right. We could tell, if you want to tell, what we could do is download. Let's see if I can download the data. We have time before 9:30. So I'll download oil. Let's see if it works. And then go to replay. Go to today. Let's see if the data is there. Did I download the wrong day? Take care, Jimmy. Let me see if I downloaded the wrong day. Hope not. We'll know in a second. Yeah, I think I did. Let me see. CL818. If the time is wrong, then I goofed. Yeah, I goofed. Let me just do it one more time. And got to disconnect. I think I made a mistake, or the data is not there yet. Download. No, I did the right time, I think. 6:22. I thought maybe I did 5:22. CL818. It looks like it's downloading. Let me restart Ninja. Sometimes if I do that, my data will appear. Stephen, do you still like your new computer? So now I'm on 210 tick, okay? So hopefully my data is there. I'm going to disconnect and I'm going to connect market replay. Try one more time. If it's not there, it's 6/22, 2018, and I'm going to 8:59, 1 minute before. And I do not think the data is there because it's not showing up. Stephen, even if I go to 9 o'clock, see how the time is wrong on the chart? That suggests that my data didn't download. That's the problem. It's not the minute. See, it's just not there. It's on the wrong time. I know, Keith. Go to NT7. I would go to NT7. NT8, it just crashes. I'm just hearing it from multiple people. Multiple people. Stephen, I'm sorry. What do you mean? On the original 210 tick chart, I can't back up. Stephen, what I'm saying is even though I'm on 1 minute, I'm not on the right day. I have to be live. Do you follow me? It won't let me back up the data, download the data. If I'm live, then I can show you the correct chart. Okay, here's the correct chart. 210 tick. Get 210 tick on this side. So they match. 210 tick is moving, okay? 210 tick is moving. You had a trade just now, all right? You definitely had a trade just now. How would you set it up? I know how Steven has it set up. Steven, you have it set up for scalping, right? Are you doing 4 and 6? He wants me to show 9 o'clock. So Steven helped design this trade, so let me do what he's telling me. So Steven, what do you want to see at 9 o'clock? So that's, you had a 9 o'clock trade on the 210 tick that would have worked beautifully. Okay. Blue candles, break out of the zone. DMI shooting up. Okay. Looks good. And now at 9.10, similar move. Oil is bullish, okay, right now. You may not want to take shorts. For whatever reason, oil is bullish. That was a good trade. Awesome trade at 9.10. So if you would have had a one-click range trade set up, or a breakout, any breakout trade would have worked at 9.10. After that open, right? Or if your stop was big enough, you just can't use a 12 tick stop on oil in this kind of market. You can't. It's too small. You're going to get stopped. So, if you want to trade oil, you can't do it in a $2,000 account. You'll kill yourself. You'll absolutely kill yourself. You got to. I've told you this 1,000 times. When I was a member of Tom Busby's room at DTI, and I respect him immensely as a great trader, he always used a 30 tick stop per contract. So that means you would risk $300. Or let me put it that way. He would risk $300 per contract. So if that was 15 ticks on a 2 tick a point instrument, or on oil, it would be 30 ticks, gas would be 30 ticks. Understand what I'm saying? Especially in a volatile market, you're probably hurting yourself if you use a $100 stop. You're going to get stopped. All right? You're going to get stopped. Now, I still want to show you the NQ Open, but it really looks like. So, Stephen, how are you setting up your oil? You're using a 210 tick for the one-click range trade. Now, Stephen helped design it, so that's why I asked him. We're going to do a webinar together soon, and we're going to just do setups and stuff. One contract, wait a minute, 40 tick profit. What about stop? Eight tick stop? What time? But see, we can't look back and do that. It's not fair. It would have worked. It would have worked. But you got to do it from now. You got to do it from now and see if it works, right? So you're saying an 8 tick stop, small stop. And no trailing, but a 40 tick profit. It's very interesting. And what are you using for your entry parameters? No trail. How about entry parameters? But are you using, how about look back? Or are you just using the zone? Just using zones, I'm guessing, is how you do it. I will not forget the open. Okay, so you're using the zones. So that's Steven's setup. He's using the one click, a 40 tick target, one contract, 8 tick stop. That's it. Okay. No graphics drawing. Graphics are false. He doesn't want to see the range. He's using his order entry based on the zones like this. Remember, with the one click, you're not in the trade until you click entry twice. Then set your orders up. Okay, right above the zone, right below the zone. 3 ticks. All right. If your order is not set up perfectly by the trade. What we're going to do, if I could convince my boss to let me do it, I want to add another setup that uses the zone and not the range for entry. The reason I have to move my orders is because we're using the range. I know I'd be up by $800 even if we took it back there. But we didn't. Now, I don't know that I want to take a short, to be honest. If you don't, you could do that. Or, I mean, look, we're just testing and we're not staying here for more than another couple of minutes. We're going to go to NQ. But if you only want to trade in one direction, the platform lets you do that. Okay? If you're adjusting, you could choose direction short only. Okay? In this case, it's certainly easy enough to just move the order. All right? As you can see, it's just hanging out in the zone. Missed the best move. That was the best move. All right? So let's go. Let's just look for 1 minute. See if anything happens on the upside. Should be right above. Right about there. Downside, I don't really want it. But we're just testing. We're not going to stay. So let's see what happens. I would probably not trade short right now. Although the other side of the coin is you could think to yourself, well, look at that big move. OPEC made an announcement that should make price go down. In theory, you should get a retracement. Okay? So you could get a small short trade that might work. But the long side looks better right now. And you could look at the 60-minute chart, look at a 30-minute chart, get an idea what the trend is, right? Do some analysis. Don't jump right into a trade. If you're going to discretionary trade, be smart. And yes, Chris, the breakout of the black lines is the entry. Those are the zones. And that's what I'd like to add to the program. Because right now we're using the range that I'm not drawing. It's a range based on time, which very often is very similar to the zones. Okay? But I'd like to have the choice. And we never used to realize that this indicator existed. Things change, obviously. And I really believe, and that's why we've updated the software so much, we have to change with the markets. Give ourselves the opportunities to take advantage of good trades, okay? Good entries. That's why I want to add that feature to the program. Everybody understand? Anybody have a question? I'm going to go over to the NQ. I want to show you my NQ setup for the open. So I'm going to reset my strategy because I want to be on 0, okay? Not because I'm showing a loss. That doesn't matter. I was just testing. I'm going over to NQ. I want it to be in the zone, okay? That's what I prefer. I also prefer to see my 0 line, if I can, on the DMI. Why it doesn't stay, I don't know. It's a mystery. Somebody might know, but if you're out there, tell me, because I don't know. It doesn't stay. All right? That's the NQ with the 2 tick. That's what I would use on the open. That's what I have been using. My setup, it's a 1-click range trade. Okay? 2 contracts, It's a 3-position trade, 7 tick target, 0 on my second, stop at 12, and I start my trailing right away. Otherwise, I would do a break-even move if I was going to start my trailing differently. Okay? Now, I've been testing this. That's why I'm not ready to go live yet. I'm not sure. It seems to be working nicely. Let me show you one. Bear with me. I have a couple of them. Here's 2 days ago. Same trade. 2 days ago. 9:30 open. I was rushing to set it up. I got it done. I was only going for 6. Okay, so maybe I'll change that. Okay. 9:30 is the open. No bracket, Irvin. We're using the zone. Using the zone. Above the zone, below the zone, or right above the U11 in this case. I use the zone in this case. And then below the zone. Okay. There's the open. I'm expecting it to go up and test the high. Doesn't mean it will. I don't want the short that day. I didn't want the short that day. Okay. That's all right. You're allowed to do that. And I want to get filled, so I moved it right on it. And it still didn't fill me. Didn't make me nervous. Filled. I'm watching that stop carefully. I don't want to lose money. I'm already up $60. Now, there's a lot to be said about not playing with the stop at all. All right? You would have made $65. Not a lot. But had you not moved your stop, maybe you could have gotten more. Because it didn't. I still expected to test the high. I think I went long. Yeah, I did. 2 contracts for a test of the high. It's going to do it. It did it that day, I remember. The better way to have handled that would have just been stay in the trade by moving the stop down. Okay? So that was a couple of days ago. That open looked decent with my test. I have the 18. I don't remember 4 days ago if it worked or not. Ten seconds away. Same setup. So Irvin understood. No bracket. You're using the zones. Dynamic SR color band is the name of the indicator. See, now it's a very tight range that morning. You could see the high and the low. So they act as magnets. If you go short, you hope you're going to test the low. Hate to use the word hope. If it goes long, you think it's going to test the high. Because it does act as a magnet. Pretty uneventful open that day because it's already 45 seconds. Not that much movement. Not that much movement that day. Filled short. Let's see if it follows through at all. Now, that's a tight stop. It's not even in the zone. Followed through. You made your 60. Now you want it to test the low, but I don't, maybe it did. I don't remember. Nope. Looks like it's going to reversed. So let's see if you stayed in, if it tested that low. Yep. Look, it did. It's a magnet. That low is a magnet. So that was like 5 days ago, 6 days ago. We're getting close. So let's double check our setup, check our time. Time's exact. If this works and next week the testing is good, I'll seriously consider going live. Tight stops, setup, 6 or 7 on the, I was using 6 in my testing. Let me stay consistent. Okay. Let's stay consistent. 2 contracts for 6 ticks, 12 tick stop, trailing on. All right. And then don't forget, we'll test that 945 trade and then we'll call it a weekend. Thank you, Chris. The zone default is 21. Dynamic. SR color band default is 21. That's what I have it set to now. So the short would be right below there. The long is in the right place, in my opinion, right above the zone. I don't want to get filled yet. Okay. So I'm going to wait. I do not want to get filled before the open. That's why I'm not letting the order sit. It's the one-click range trade, Irvin. It's called the one-click range trade. It's part of our software now. Okay, it's a breakout, but it's one-click range trade. I'm not going to change it. Well, I have time. Range trade, breakout trade, one-click range. You can set up any trade using it, any time frame, anything. It's a discretionary setup. You turn it on by hitting one-click range entry twice. That's actually in a good spot. This actually could be a tiny bit closer, believe it or not. Okay. Now we're good. Open is taking place. Let's see if the market's going to move in one direction. A little bit. All we're looking for is a little bit. We're trailing. It's moving nicely in one direction. I don't have to move anything yet. I could move my stop to get some more money. Okay. If I get too close, it'll pull me out. Or I could have just let it trail. Okay. Should have traded it live. It's looking great. Right, Dave. I'm not trading news. I'm just trading the open. It's a great setup. This is the best one all week. Is it over? Nope. Nope. Not yet. Let it ride, right? Let it ride. You're up. quite a bit. You're not going to give it all back. Let's grab some of it, right? Because you're going to give some of it back on a retrace. Keep trailing. Gorgeous open. So I don't care if it's up or down. I just want it to go one way. Wow. Okay. Very simple setup. Very simple setup. That was a beauty. That was a beauty. Any questions? What was my setup? Now that's the best one I've seen all in like 2 weeks. But that's what you're looking for because your stop is 12. So your loss is 180 bucks roughly if you get stopped, if you don't mess with your stop. Okay. Now, if you start trailing immediately, then the minute it makes a high or a low in your direction, because our trail is on, not waiting for the target to get hit, your stop out could be less. Okay. Now, I would be done for the day on that one. I wouldn't bother trading anymore. I might go look at oil today just to see. All right. Now, we're also here for that 945 trade. Any questions about that setup? I will release this as a recording later. Okay. So you can watch this. But what I would like to do, because this really does seem to be a valid trade, is to have a trade room every morning at the open. Look for that one trade. If we get it, fine. If we don't, we're done. If we get stopped, we get stopped. But if we get 2 good opens a week, 3 good opens, if we get 3 out of 5, that's what we need. We need 3 out of 5, at least. The new NT8 version, there was a mix-up KW, and the Don programmer's on vacation. I don't think he's going to send it for about a week now. That's what I think. Now, KW, you know you don't have all the indicators for this trade. Why do you insist on using 8? I don't get it. It's so problematic. So many people are having problems with it still. Why not go to 7? Sometimes, not all the time. But certainly for the one-click range trade, I would use Ninja 7. I just can't give you all the indicators for 8. That's the problem. I mean, I don't understand why people aren't writing for it if it's so great. But you could see this open never got above the zone. That's where the stop should be. Let's be honest. Stop should be above the zone. Okay, take KW. I could accept that. But they don't have it for 8, Stephen. Or do they? Do they? I didn't think they did. Okay, Stephen's telling me that the SR color bands is available. If color bands is available for NinjaTrader 8, you can absolutely live just with that indicator on Ninja 8. I'll check for it. Let's go over to the trade. Now, the only hope of this trade at 945 is a gold trade. And I don't recommend anybody put real money on it. This was a testing trade room. I mean, the open, I'm sorry I didn't trade it live, to be honest. I could have risked 180 bucks today. That was gorgeous. That was the best open I've seen in 2 weeks. And there's many that do that. It happens a lot. So let's reset the, let me go to the regular trade room. I'm going to close this baby. I don't like to have multiple trade workspaces open. And then the setup for the trade we're going to do right now, I'll record it too, is a bracket of 3. It's a 945 trade. Does not move. It often fills you and just sits there and stops you out. It's a crappy trade. As of late, okay? It has not tested well recently. Let's check our time real quick. Time.is. Time is good. Going to gold. GC 818. All right. I want my news open. I don't think I'm going to need it too big. I don't. That's what we're looking at. Manufacturing PMI, services PMI. All right. And it matters what it does. It affects the trade. I'd wait 20 seconds at least. My setup, very simple setup. Typical old-fashioned gold trade like we used to do. Bracket of 3. All right. Entry of 944.59. Breakout trade. 2 contracts, 3 ticks. 1 contract, 7 ticks. Stop of 8. All right. No trail. You're just not going to get a move worth trailing. That's the trade. Okay. It's 9:45, so we got 6 minutes. A lot of people stuck around. Thank you so much for the respect. That's how I see it. Tess, let me know what's going on with your stuff. I would spend 5 minutes in the room if you need some advice. Maybe we could solve it. But anybody who's not a member, I think you should be a member. We have a lot of stuff that we do, and we're doing more and more. If this open trade, I think this open trade is ready to trade. Maybe I'll just start next week. And we'll see. If we start losing money on it, we'll stop. Reevaluate. But you potentially have 2 opens. 6 o'clock at night, less risky, less movement, and 9:30, right? So, and if you think there's other opens, set it up. You can do anything you want. That's what I love about our platform now. You're not dependent on news trades anymore. You can set up your own trades on anything. You always could, but now you can really do it intelligently. We got indicators that we recommend that really work well. I think that for the discretionary trader out there, We have a lot of tools now that we didn't used to have. And I'm absolutely open to argument, suggestion, anything. You know that you could say anything to me. I won't throw you out of the room. I'm open to anything. Look, we created this trade because one of you had a great idea. And I was thinking similarly, along similar lines, not quite the same. Not quite the same. Not at 4. 10 to 4. But that's how the one-click range trade got invented. One of you said, do this, do this, do this, do this. It really works. And when I looked at it, I said, you know what? This is better than my idea. So we did it his way and my way, mostly his way. And that's Stephen. And Stephen has agreed, I hope he remembers, that we're going to do a webinar together and we're going to trade the one-click range trade. And he's going to help me with entries because he's great at it. I'm not embarrassed to say, hey, Stephen's really good with his entries. I could take advice during a trade room. I'm not embarrassed. Not at all. This is not about ego for me. It's about making you money, helping you make money. If I have to stand on my head and let a bee sting me in the arm, I'll do it. You get the point. I don't have to get fired. The 945 trade, Chris, is market, manufacturing PMI, services PMI, preliminary data, so gold, but a cruddy trade. Don't use real money. The recent testing's been terrible. Okay. But it has worked in the past, so I figured we're here. Let's end the trade room on a typical JOBB trade and see what happens. And then I'll tell everybody have a great weekend. Sorry we didn't make money today. Canada, we could have, had we done it right. I wouldn't say done it right, done it differently. In many ways, Jay was right because he protected us in case there wasn't quite as good a move as there was today. Look at gold moving before the trade. Why? I don't think it has anything to do with the trade. I really don't. This is not a trade that moves like that. It's got to be world news. OPEC's been saying stuff nonstop. No, Dave, we don't. We always use ticks. Don't have a way to do that unless you can calculate it, and then you could do it in ticks. So I'd wait 20 seconds. The news is conflicting. I wouldn't even trade this. I wouldn't trade it. Watch it work. It's going to work. It's going to work just to torture me today. That's why you don't move your stop so fast, right? Conflicting news, almost matching on the services, but a little bit better on the downside, a little bit stronger. That's great, Dave. I'm open. All right, folks, that would have worked today. So you put it in your journal that the last one worked. You know, I've been taking all those trades this week, all the little ones, and today, because of the testing on that one, it just didn't merit trading it. That doesn't mean I'm an idiot. It means it is what it is. Any good last questions? Any last questions before we go? Want to take a quick look at next week or no? My guess is next week. Hey, next week, Friday, quarterly grain report. Friday at noon. I'd be around for that one. That's a good trade. Doesn't mean it's going to be good next week, but it's a good trade. Next week, I'm tempted to get up for IFO. The zoo was so good last month. That's a trade. We don't trade the British bonds. Tuesday, CB Consumers a trade. I might trade New Zealand trade balance. That's a small trade. Core durable goods on Wednesday is a trade. Crude oil is a trade on Wednesday. New Zealand rate. We don't trade it, but natural gas is a trade Thursday. It's a little slow next week. Final GDP quarterly. It's a crappy trade, but that's Friday. That's Thursday. Natural gas Thursday. See what else. Friday, British final GDP quarterly is a trade. You could have a Canada GDP. I don't know. That's the worst Canada trade we have. It is the worst Canada trade we have. Chicago PMI has been not too bad. Might look at that. We'll see. We'll see. Canada GDP, I don't know. It's not safe. Hasn't been safe. All right. And then there's other calendars I'll be looking at also. Okay. There's plenty to do. We'll have stuff to do. Any questions? Yeah, I'll try. Haru, take care. Chris, I don't understand what that means. Oh, which one do you want though? I have so many of them. Chris, send me an email and I'll send you my current one. All right? Please send me an email just so I remember. Any other questions? Everybody good? So you see why I'm interested in trading the open with the one-click range trade, right? And I want to test the 6 p.m. open too. I haven't tested it yet. There's stuff to do, all right? But it looks like the 9:30 open should work in one way, shape, or another. 6 p.m. After the markets are closed, Chris, and then they reopen for Globex for overnight trading. That's considered an open, and sometimes there's good volatility. NQ. Dave, where do you live? I'm in Pennsylvania. You're an Eagles fan? You just busting on me or what? Or different Eagles? Yeah, he's good. He's a good coach. Peterson's great. I mean, he won the Super Bowl for them by having guts. He really had guts. He played to win. I love somebody who plays to win. He really played to win. Opposite of Andy Reid. That's why Andy Reid will never win the big game. He doesn't play to win. Anybody with a question? Anybody? Does everybody understand how to use the one-click range trade? It's not complicated. We've gotten it down to literally you could just use the zones. Really, you could just use the zone if you want. That's the truth, Dave. He didn't let Belichick scare him. That cheater. He's a cheater. All right, everybody. Have a fantastic weekend. Sorry we left money on the table today, but sometimes that's what you do when you test. You learn. All right. It tells us what to do. Joe, thanks for hanging out the whole time. Everybody, I hope this was useful. I will have a video. Okay. I'll make a video of this room. It'll take a while, but a couple hours. All right. Everybody, I'll see you after the weekend. Have a great weekend, everyone. Let's get up at 4 o'clock in the morning for the IFO. What do you say? Monday. I'll do it. I'll do it. I'm willing. Dave, send me an email. Let me give you my email. I'll send you the invitation if I do it. I didn't set up the trades yet for next week, but I'm leaning towards doing it. The worst that'll happen is we won't get filled. We should not get stopped on it. So you get up early, not and don't get filled. All right, folks, have an awesome weekend. I got to get chat in this room. I got to figure out how to do it. So many things to do. All right, everyone. Take care.